I'm Rohrich. Welcome back to Rohrich Knose Best Podcast, helping you become a better and more informed you. So, what's all the rage today in facelift surgery, especially on social media? Deep plane, smash, deep layer facelift. Well, we're going to sort it out here with a world expert in facial rejuvenation, Dr. Jerry O'Daniel, who's an amazing board-certified plastic surgeon. He's both a facial plastic surgeon and a board-certified plastic surgeon, and he's got incredible experience in facial rejuvenation, and I love his results. So, Jerry, welcome.
Thank you, Rod. What a pleasure to be, what an honor to be with the master himself.
Oh, you're amazing. So tell us about what's been the rage about the deep plane facelift, and is it new, is it different? And
so, Rod, this is the rage when you look at social media. I think it just started about 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
If you look at social media. There's no truth in social media. So you and I know, because we're both students of history and literature, and you've been the master of literature for 40 years. Tord Skook talked about the deep plane facelift in 1974.
I know.
And we all thought he was crazy. Not me, I wasn't in that era. But then another generation of surgeons came along who were complete giants.
Right.
Sam Hamra, Fuad Nahai, Dan Baker, etc. And those guys took these concepts to another level. But they have all different names. And then suddenly social media came along, and the co-ops of the stealing, if you will,
right,
of Rick Warren's facelift, which was called a MAPS lift, was suddenly called a deep plane facelift. And this is the way it's done. It's the only way it could be done. The reality is, there's all kinds of deep plane facelifts. If you look at 20 surgeons, their technique is different than each other.
Exactly.
But we buy the name. It's not the name, as you say, it's proximal to the technique and tools.
Right. That's so well said. So in your evolution, obviously you've done all the different types of facelift, and you customize your facelift to the aging of the patient. So why do you feel that the deep layer, the deep plane facelift is perhaps better and improved in the way you've designed it?
I've had this argument for a long time with a lot of surgeons over and over. I started doing sub-SMAS or, quote, deep plane facelift in 1990 when I did a facial nerve fellowship at Cadaver Labs. And so for me personally, I'm very comfortable in that layer, and I've not truly done many plications or super SMAS operations. So for me personally, that's where I'm most comfortable. If I'm looking at all the techniques, I have friends from all over the world, and they all get spectacular techniques, and they're all disparately different. So I personally go into the SMAS because I can customize and move it. Darwin said,
right,
if we were all made from the same mold, there'd be no such thing as beauty. So if I do the same operation on every patient, if it's the right patient combined with that surgery, it'll be a good outcome. So I have 8 different variations of sub-SMAS techniques, thinking like a reconstructive surgeon.
Right.
So I don't believe in any one technique. I just prefer to work under the SMAS. Tell us why the difference between your lecture yesterday. What does it really mean to be sub-SMAS or deep plane? That's what people don't understand.
Right, that's exactly right. And the thing is, it's all tailored toward the patient's facial aging. And, the results, speak for themselves. I agree. Now, also, tell us about the learning curve for the deep layer, deep plane facelift, because, you're obviously highly trained both in ENT and facial plastic surgery and plastic surgery, and you're a craniofacial surgeon. So tell us, what the viewer should look for when they're looking for someone to do a deep plane or a deep layer facelift.
Well, there's no question there's a certain level of expertise required to work in the deeper layers of the face.
Right.
Obviously, we've always been afraid of the facial nerve.
Right.
Now, I will tell you, because you've probably not heard about the study we have coming out where we did intraoperative nerve stimulation and then EMGs and looking at the movies and movement of the face. Now, the interesting thing is what we found where the anatomists have always told us statically, one nerve goes to this muscle, one nerve goes to this muscle, is the reality. For instance, the muscle that makes us depress has 6 different nerves going to it.
Really?
The zygomaticus, the upper buccal, the middle buccal, the lower buccal, the marginal net nerve, and the cervical branch all go to the same muscle. So the reality, going under the deep plane is safer than we've ever thought before. You're probably more likely to get a permanent injury by taking a big suture with an older technique where you plicate proximally, where you get a nerve closer to the ear.
Right.
Now, what you will see, though, when you're going under the deeper plane, is that people are going to cut smaller nerves, and you won't see like a stroke-type deficit, but we're going to see a lot more people, when they blink, their lips are moving, and I'm seeing that in my practice a lot, because when those nerves grow back, they're confused, they go to the wrong muscle, and you get what's called synkinesis, or movement of all the muscles. So if you're a consumer and you're trying to cut through the noise, because now everybody does the deep plane face,
right,
because that's what the consumer's asking for, they don't know what it means. You can spend 45 minutes explaining what you're going to do, and they'll look at you and go, are you going to do a deep plane?
Yes, get that conversation every day.
Every day. So as a consumer, what you should be looking for, is this surgeon done facelifts previously? Right. I would like to know, do you have privileges to do this in a hospital setting? Because board certification doesn't mean much anymore, because there's a board for everything.
Right.
So I would like to see your before and after pictures. Can you show me somebody that looks like me, a 68-year-old aging male with a beard that covers up all the damage that's underneath? Can you show me some guys that look like me and how they got through it? Show me what looked like 1 week, 1 month, 6 months. Can you show me some longer term results, 1 year, 5 years, 6 years?
That's
because
right.
Everybody looks good.
At a week and a month.
3 months later. In the South, I'm from the South, you're from North Dakota, but now the South. But you've heard the siren, have you read Homer, the siren calling you toward the rocks when, where we're from in Kentucky, we call it the siren. So the siren is swelling, so everything looks great because those beautiful voices, and then once you get there, and then you realize that you're going to turn you into a toad. It's not really that. The swelling goes away, and you see what you truly get, which is it's not that good.
That's right. That's right.
So
long-term results are key in any type of procedure, especially in facial rejuvenation and rhinoplasty. So what are the 3 take-home points for the consumer when they're looking to find a surgeon that's going to be able to customize their face, to a deep plane, deep layer facelift? What are the cardinal ones that'll take them and make them safe and have, uniformly good outcomes? I mean, there's no guarantees, obviously.
Well, I would probably say first of all, when you're looking for a surgeon, when they say, well, my technique is the only one that works, then I would say that's probably, you're not getting
red
the
flag.
truth.
Yeah.
That's a red flag. I would want to know that I'm going to have a relationship with this doctor. Is he being honest with me? And so that's the first step. If I'm the consumer and I'm looking to know what is going to happen, when someone says, I never have any problems, that's not true.
Right.
I have problems, and I've been doing this for many years, like you have, and I control them. I have more consistent results, but how will I manage things that happen? A little bit of loose skin. Anybody says they never had loose skin in the neck, that patient never looked up, looked down, or side to side. You're going to get it. How are you going to manage that? If you say you're not going to have it, it's just not going to happen, then that's not true. And then the third thing is, what is the recovery truly like? Because on Instagram, we show these results like they're sitting in a boardroom at 48 hours.
Right.
It's just
not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. So really what you're trying to do is to cut through the noise and ask questions, and it's common sense. I mean, we as surgeons are buying tools and instruments that are burning the fat, and then we're trying to put the fat back in the face. And I tell these guys, so what machines should I buy? Well, use common sense. So when you're talking to your surgeon, try to use your brain and use common sense questions, and you should get a common sense answer.
Great. Well, wise words from a wise surgeon. Incredible prudent advice on how to choose the deep plane, the advantages, and most importantly, staying safe and finding someone who's board-certified plastic surgeon or facial plastic surgeon with experience and expertise in facial rejuvenation. So please give us your comments, give us your thoughts on the deep plane facelift and so much more. And until next time, stay safe and stay educated.